The streets of Rome are filled with rubble. AJ's footprints are everywhere. You can almost think that you're seeing double. But there's two of them. On a cold, dark night on Spanish stairs, when you're trying to get high on smack, and this guy's going around telling everyone, you're a fucking junkie, and it's all over the news. Rolling Stone. Poor guy, man. You know, all he wanted to do was get high. Mr. Tambourine Man, he says how opiates inspire him to write poetry, which is perfectly logical, looking at the history of Coleridge and Keats, Ginsberg. Poor Allen Ginsberg, man. Just when he got some money, he croaks. You know why? From shooting dope, that's why. Fucking hepatitis. I've seen it. There's definitely a correlation between those who develop liver cancer and people who have shot dope in the past. Because I'm like 75, I know a whole bunch of people. Got to hurry on back to my hotel room, to a private place, where I got me a date with a pretty little girl from Greece, where he's going to shoot some smack. She promised she'd be there with me. She promised she'd inspire me when I wrote my poetic masterpiece. I left Rome and landed in Brussels. Brussels was where Verlaine stabbed Rimbaud in a drunken brawl over their poetry. Says, I've heard of Verlaine and Rimbaud, but none of this can compare anything to this affair. You're going to make me lonesome when I go. You know, Verlaine and Rimbaud is weird, but guess what? Verlaine never went through Rimbaud's garbage, and Verlaine never brought a whole bunch of people to have Verlaine's 30th birthday. So, that's the way it is. Anyway, I'm supposed to, I'm supposed to end up, according to Dylan, in some honky-tonk or some old age home, going through the garbage, the rubble, with a fine-tooth comb. I doubt that. Let's join it, light it. So I use these transparent cigarette papers. This is a defective. I demand a reroll. Anyhow, you wouldn't believe the shit I've learned over the years about Bob Dylan. Now he financed this guy Joe Gilbert, and they helped Trump win the election. Gilbert's a very dangerous political operative. He'd come over here after visiting Roger Stone, who lives about 20 blocks down in the 80s at First Avenue, who lived there. I don't know if he's still there. And, what they did was they started this campaign saying that Bill Clinton had an illegitimate child with a black prostitute from Little Rock, Arkansas, who he impregnated in some bushes somewhere. Maybe he was looking for some bush meat. I don't know. Excuse and they targeted it at the swing states and at African Americans there, and were able to suppress the vote. The lowest turnout. Hillary got the lowest turnout of blacks in these swing states than any other candidate had in previous times. And that helped throw the election to Mr. Trump there, whose daughter's garbage I retrieved and in the 80s and found she was smoking fucking pot. I found roaches and Ivana and empty pack of bamboo cigarette papers. But basically I kept it to myself, not wanting to have a Trump hire a private detective to track me down, track my movements. And also I didn't want to rat her out for pot, you know, because they took that stuff seriously back then. They don't take it that seriously anymore. And Dylan also financed Joel's CD, which said that Obama's real father was Frank David Marshall, a communist, black communist dude who liked jazz and naked white chicks. And, you know, he sent thousands and thousands of these to all the swing states in an effort to elect Trump. Joe was, I knew him for 4 years, come out, we went to restaurants with him and his wife, his girlfriend or fiance, whatever you want to call her. I had told him he should get married, but, you know, he got offended on that. And the breaking point was when he was appearing on Alex Jones' show, you know, InfoWars. He was hosting it when Alex was off doing whatever Alex does. And he was trying to get me on it. He says, oh, you can say anything you want. You can say that it's all a load of shit, you know. But I wouldn't do it. And I don't really like people making around me who advocate stupidity or am I doing something stupid. And then he appeared on this other show as a regular, Jeff Renzi, who's a Holocaust denier. So after that, I says, oh, man, you know, you crossed the fucking line. And he wrote a book about, he helped write the book about Jabotinsky, the founder of Likud, called The Lone Wolf. He did a lot of the research. So, you know, Dylan is connected with Roger Stone and that whole crew. He's not what you think he is. He's basically a neo-Confederate. Or I don't even know if that's the right description for him, you know? Because, you know, the things that he says, like the neo-Confederates, they want to send the blacks back to Africa. They want them as slaves, and the Confederates wanted them as slaves, basically. But Dylan and dear landlord says, when I'm my dreams are beyond control. In other words, his fantasies about blacks are beyond just controlling them. He wants them basically exterminated. In another one, he says, I went into the red, went into the black. Another song about blacks. He says, went into the valley of dry bone dreams. Red and black are the Nazi colors. The valley of dry bone dreams are where people's bones are stacked up after having been cremated in death camps. So, you know, dear landlord, he says, you know, when that steamboat whistle blows, I'll give you all I got to give. So I'm spending years and years like, well, 60 years of pot smoking will do this to you, among other things. Anyway, he says, when that steamboat whistle blows, I'll give you all I got to give. So I'm figuring out steamboat, blows, whistleblower, let off steam. What he's saying is when that steamboat, when you realize I'm a neo-Confederate because the steamboat is a symbol of the South, then you'll understand that songs like Blowing in the Wind are really neo-Confederate songs. So he really put one over on the civil rights movement, you know. So, you know, it ain't funny, but, you know, I grew up on Lenny Bruce. Across the street, they've nailed the curtains. And another venue in the village, they've nailed anything down that can be stolen. They're getting ready for the feast. They're getting ready to prey on Lenny Bruce, to make him their prey. The Phantom of the Opera, a real scary public enemy #1 in the perfect image of a priest. Lenny Bruce was arrested for impersonating a priest in the early 1960s in Miami Beach. They're spoon-feeding Casanova. They're giving him select bits of Lenny Bruce. They're giving the judge Casanova, who's like a big romantic guy, who's just the opposite, who's, you know, a straight shooting, you know, monogamous Catholic. They're spoon feeding Casanova to get him to feel more assured, to get him to send Lenny Bruce to jail, to assure himself he's doing the right thing. Spoon feeding Casanova to get him to feel more assured, while they fill him with self-confidence, while they make sure that he thinks he's doing the right thing after poisoning him with words, after reading all the curse words that Lenny Bruce used in his act, which is exactly what happened at the time in the New York criminal court. And the Phantom shouting to skinny girls, and the Lenny Bruce shouting to the reporters, skinny, get the skinny on Lenny. Get out of here if you don't know. Casanova's just being punished for going to Desolation Row. It's the judge who's going to live in infamy for locking Lenny Bruce up for obscenity on Desolation Row in America in the 1960s, Greenwich Village in the 1960s. A lot of it you got to know, like lights flicker from the opposite loft. In this room, the heat pipes just cough. You have to know that Gertie's Folk City was in a big loft and was a step up from the Gaslight, which was in a basement with pipes running on the ceiling. Or in the empty lot where the ladies play Blind Man's Bluff with the keychain. It's fucking Washington Square Park. Anyhow, I figured it out, you know. I mean, it would have been a fucking tragedy if I would have died.